Florida State and Clemson have been linked to the Big 12 multiple times by multiple credible people. Ross Dellinger, Brett McMurphy, Josh Pate here over the last month or so. It's been a great PR month for the Big 12 from that standpoint. But has that just been a big misinformation campaign, not just from the Big 12, but even from the SEC and the Big 10, perhaps a little bit coordinated here? We're going to get into the theory of Doug Rohan, a great legal expert who you guys have heard on the channel here multiple times. And he is also very connected on the Florida State side of things. And not only will you get that, but also Doug puts out a theory that I'm going to say is pretty intriguing here about why ESPN has not gone ahead and just picked up the option for the ACC's TV contract, which would extend it from 2027 to 2036. The deadline is coming up. It is February 1st of next year. Why haven't they done that yet? You're going to really want to hear the theory that he has on it. So without further ado, I'm going to dive into part one of our conversation. You'll get part two in just a minute, which is about the most recent part of this, which is the unredacted, or rather the redacted document about the ACC and ESPN agreement coming out. A lot of legalese, but this is the exciting stuff and what I thought was the best part of our conversation that I really want to dive into here. And we start with that exact question I was just asking. Hey, if the ACC and ESPN's agreement is fine and as good as what Jim Phillips has said, why haven't they just gone ahead and consummated this thing already? You know, Jim Phillips spoke again the other day, and he always seems to profess a lot of confidence and like, hey, no big deal. This is going to be fine. Like ESPN, we're talking. But like I heard you talking with TJ at Double Fries No Slaw, and I felt like the point you guys made was pretty good. Like I mean, if ESPN were truly like all in right now, wouldn't they have just already done this, agreed to it, made it public? Like, is there some potential string that could be there that we're missing that would be the holdup on why they haven't done that yet?
It could be their finances. It could be their board. Again, if a decision has not been made yet, then you have to contemplate the possibility that the ESPN is not going to exercise the option. If a decision has already been made, then what is holding up ESPN from announcing what their decision is one way or the other? So Occam's razor tells us the most likely scenario is ESPN's still on the fence about this. ESPN is still trying to decide. Remember, ESPN is not altruistic. ESPN is not here to save the ACC from themselves. ESPN is not here to make Clemson and FSU's life easier. ESPN is here to make money. And to that extent, the ACC has been in the news every day for the last 6 months and will continue to be in the news. They just want eyeballs. So perhaps the only argument that I can come up with as why they haven't made a decision yet is because the tension is what's driving eyeballs. And if week 1, week 2 shows a 5% increase, 10% increase in viewership in ACC games just because of all this litigation, everything going on, then ESPN's the big winner.
Boy, that's a pretty good theory there because, yeah, you get through all the way through football season. I mean, February's coming up right there. You could literally make it through the entire season and then be like, all right, we'll decide now. There was a lot of bluster and a lot of talk that July was going to be a month where we found something out. Josh Pate, a guy that I really like to listen to, he had kind of been pushing toward that, and he was certainly not the only one. Obviously, now we're in August. August 15th is the date that everybody has circled for a long time because it being the deadline that you would have to inform the ACC that you're going to be leaving the next year. Are you surprised that we have come this far without hearing anything? And what are you feeling right now about that August 15th date and what may come before then?
I have said since our February and March videos that I always thought this would be an announcement that would come after August 15th. I'm not going to lie, that bluster and smoke that you mentioned got me. It got me for about 48 hours. I went on one show, the Renegade Report, and I was like, look, everybody's saying it. Maybe there will be a decision now in July. But the more I thought about it, and by the time I got to Monday morning again after that show, I was back to thinking it just makes more sense to do this after August 15th of 2020. Or 2024. The reason why is because we want to make sure there's an orderly transition through the new schedule, whatever that is, whoever that is with. Announcing a departure before August 15th or on August 14th means we're playing a non-ACC schedule in 2025. And I don't think that that's anything that any of the parties are prepared to do. Florida State's got a home schedule with Alabama. We've got one coming up with Georgia after that. So there are certain pieces to the puzzle and the scheduling that just seem to make more sense. You marry that with the idea that none of the conferences want to get hit with tortious interference claims, so nobody is going to extend any invitation until a settlement has been reached. By waiting until after August 15th, you provide a longer runway, a bigger separation between when the departure takes place in the ACC and when conversations take place with the new partners in the new conferences.
I'll leave you with one here that this maybe will venture out a little bit beyond, just the legal expertise and perhaps a little bit more just your general opinion. But look, being a Big 12 guy, I mean, it was crazy for me. I did not think 3 weeks ago there was any chance, or a month ago there was any chance that Florida State and Clemson could be coming to the Big 12. It's at least now been granted like in just a little bit of a nod, like, hey, maybe that's possible by some people, like Brett McMurphy, Ross Dellinger, again, Josh Pate. Really opened my eyes and surprised me. Obviously, you had the Brett McMurphy story about the SEC and Big Ten not really being interested as of right now. There is a bit of a legal tie-in here, right? Because one of the theories to that would be, well, I mean, like, why would the SEC and Big Ten do anything to potentially endanger themselves from a legal standpoint there? But just what did you make of all of that as somebody with the legal expertise you have and a Florida State alum? The SEC and Big Ten may not be interested. That's the reporting. And then perhaps the Big 12 is a possibility there.
It's all a misinformation campaign, and I can prove it to you. The idea that the SEC and the Big Ten are not interested in Florida State is exactly what you would want to say so that you can sit down in a deposition 5 years from now and say, we have been uniform throughout all of our leadership to say we did not have any interest in Florida State. We need that as evidence to protect us from a tortious interference claim. By contrast, the Big 12 is saying we would love to have Florida State.
Yeah.
Well, the only reason why they can feel comfortable saying that is they know they're not going to get sued for tortious interference because there's absolutely no chance that Florida State is going to the Big 12. Both of those are two sides of the same coin. What does it do? Why is it happening? It raises the profile of the Big 12. They want to take the ACC's spot as the third best conference, as the third most important conference in America. They get their name in the news. They get people tweeting about their conference. Suddenly people are looking around saying, well, yeah, if Florida State and Clemson left and went to the Big 12, then they would be the third biggest conference. Once you have that mind shift in your head, then you're starting to validate and think of the Big 12 as perhaps that third best conference. Now, Florida State and Clemson are not going there. The leadership has no interest in going there. They wouldn't be doing all this just to make a lateral move from the ACC to the Big 12. Of course, there was talk about private equity. And of course, if the number is $80 million, then Florida State will go anywhere that's paying them $80 million. But the Big 12 wouldn't want to do that. The membership of the Big 12 wouldn't be happy with that. It would likely cause that conference to then further implode in the next few years if that were to happen. So I am very confident in being able to say this is all part of a misinformation campaign from all three of those conferences, and that there's little to no chance that Florida State is going to end up in the Big 12.
Yeah, I mean, the motivations you can definitely draw there because it's been a great last month of a PR cycle really for the Big 12 with everything that's happened there. I mean, certainly you can start to see that for sure. Well, Doug, this has been great. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I know that you're headed off to Ireland here pretty soon to go watch the Noles. So looking forward to that. Safe travels, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to be with you, John. Take care.
All right. I appreciate Doug Rohan taking time as always. Make sure you guys follow him on Twitter at Rohan Law. He is awesome. Just a great follow if you want the day-to-day updates on what is going on with all of this. Obviously, you can follow him as well if you need an attorney in the Atlanta, Georgia area. Make sure and check him out there as well. But I respect his opinion. Look, I know a lot of you guys are Big 12 viewers. We want to think that there is a chance that Florida State and Clemson come to the league. I've been pretty measured in my opinion on that, even though I do now recognize it as more of a possibility than I did. He is right that if you're looking at motivations here involved, especially from a legal standpoint, for the SEC and Big 10, that does make a lot of sense. And just from a PR standpoint for the Big 12, it also makes a lot of sense. And with realignment, generally, the people who know what's really, really going on are the few people, the handful of people that are actually sitting in the boardrooms. So I can't really say that's a terrible take from him. So I will just add that on to the end of this here and say that I appreciate Doug sharing that. And I certainly would not begrudge him for having that opinion. I'm very much open to that being a possibility here. So let me know what you think in the discussion, in the comments, rather. Hit me up with your discussion there. Let me know what you think about either of Doug's opinions and theories there, which I thought were both really fascinating, really, really interesting. Like the video. Make sure you get signed up for the Open for Business newsletter, ofbnews.com. You can also click the link in the description to get signed up for that. That is the best way to support me right now. You can also do it on Venmo at John-Kurtz-4. Thank you guys for watching. As always, have a great weekend, and I will talk to you soon.